Happy Saturday. Who has access to you? Who has the need to know? Who determines what is doing the right thing? These are questions we all should sit and deeply reflect upon. And mainly because there's these widely accepted ideologies, beliefs, and it's assumed that we all know what that means and that we all have the same perception of what that is. And when we assume, you know what assuming does, it makes an ass out of you and me. So when you assume another has the same experience as yourself, or the beliefs that you have, or holds the same vision as you, not one of us is alike. Each of us is coming from a different background, different belief systems. We have different lifestyles, come from different cultures. You know, cult comes from the word culture. We have to take into consideration that just because we think a certain way, that not everybody else does. That when someone asks you a question, you're not obliged to answer. That may sound inconsiderate, it may sound wrong, but is that the right thing or what you've been conditioned and indoctrinated into believing? Just because someone asks you a question doesn't mean they should, or that they are entitled to your response. That the basic laws of nature, of the land, of humans, is that you are a sovereign being. And you have control over this vessel, this temple, the sacredness that houses your soul. That when your soul is out of alignment, when you are out of alignment with your soul, that God, universe, creation will shake you up to wake you up. That things will crumble, they will fall all around you to see if you are paying attention. It often starts out subtly. And it only becomes such a big crisis because you weren't paying attention to begin with. That when you're not tapped into your 5 senses, your sight, your smell, your taste, your touch, and your hearing. When you're not tapped in, tuned in, turned on, your intuition gets out of whack too, because your spidey sense is an antenna. It's all about feeling the untouchable, sensing and knowing the unseen. Beyond what is seen, whatever you believe, the truth is something intangible, but it is something that can only be felt. And it comes from deep within you. Nobody else can tell you what is true. Your truth and my truth, they differ because we come from different backgrounds and experiences. And that's the beauty and the blessing and the gift of this life, is our diversity, because we give each other different perspectives. We don't have to agree, and just because I don't agree with what you believe does not make you a bad person, nor I. That this is one of the problems that we are dealing with in society, humanity, in different areas of the world, is that we've been told we need to choose sides. We don't. That's the biggest lie. That is the biggest farce. And to lift the veil off of that and to recognize that you can hold whatever opinion you hold, and I will still love you through and through. I don't have to agree with you. I'm not here to fight with you. I'm not here to push my opinions or beliefs upon you. I know my personal experience, and I expect it to be honored just as much as I want to honor yours. And that no matter if we agree or disagree, or agree to disagree, the truth is, I honor you. I see you. I trust you know what is true for you, and you must honor that, with or without my blessing or approval. And there's one of the biggest problems right now, is that people are still seeking validation They're seeking others to enable, to reinforce what it is they hold so deeply, so strongly to. And as many of you have watched and I have shared, our biggest addiction is to our belief system. And that if we can't listen to hear the other, and that if we're anticipating to react and respond to them, then we're not engaged. We're not honoring or seeing the other. We're actually disrespecting ourselves and the other person. That is not connection. That is not healthy communication. What that is a trauma response, is a wound, an inner child saying, I want to be heard, I want to be seen. See me, hear me. But if the child is unwilling to listen and see the other, what makes them believe it will be reciprocated? Law of reciprocity, the simplicity of living, that we all want connection. And that is the basic human condition. It's basic human nature to want to see and be seen, to be heard and be spoken and listen and to engage. Life is sacred, but are we treating it as such? Or are we twisting the words and living in scarcity and scared and fear? Letting the externals determine the internals. That's not living. Are you living to work? Are you working to live? Deep reflections and connections within. When you can tap into your truth, the externals don't dictate who you are and what you do. Everything you need is within you. This life is a mirror. It's a show presenting you. You are the star of your show. You are the author. The author of your story. Authority has the word author in it. Who is dictating, who is writing your story? Is it you, or have you handed that over to someone else? Because your truth has to be honored from the inside out, not the outside in. We have all been disempowered from the time of birth, told to do the right thing. But who dictates what that right thing is? Is that you? Or have you bought into the story? His story, her story, stories, the narrative. If you don't feel it within, if you don't feel that connection within every cell of your being, that's misaligned. That's not truth. Because truth is something that can only be felt. And only you know who you are and what you came here to do. Even if you don't know, like you feel confused, it's okay too. Patience comes from within. We can't expect it to be given to us. We can't even expect ourselves to know every little detail of this life. So we have so much of this fear of missing out, FOMO. People running around, grasping for straws and seams and trying to make sense of it all. If you're not tapped in and tuned into your 5 senses, of course you can't make sense of something senseless. Of course you can't know because you're not connected to your intuition. You have to hone your 5 senses to deepen your connection to your intuitive self, the vessel, the channel of truth. Your intuition is the into me I see, and that allows you to see through the things that are not true for you. These times are really scary for some. They're exciting for others. They're crazy. You know why? Because we weren't appreciating what we had to begin with. How many of us were truly living and walking our own path, or the path that was presented for us? Here, this is what you should do. This is the life you should live. Go to work, get a job. Maybe you went to school, you got a degree. Indoctrinated into a system of the hamster on the wheel, constant. Keep on going, so that you're not actually living, but doing. You're not a human being, a human doing. That was my huge wake-up call years ago. That I had bought into the ideas. I had the list. I checked off the boxes. And then I realized when I moved to Italy the first time, to Belgium even, that I wasn't working to live, but living to work. And when that was presented to me, it was a huge wake-up call. It was a huge reminder that life is to be lived, not survived, not, oh, look at me, I made it through. You're meant to be the victor of your life, not the victim of the circumstances of your life. That crisis is essentially the cries from within that you're not paying attention to. Crisis, every word has meaning, has vibration, is a signal, a sign. It's telling you, because words have meaning, words cast spells. That's why it's called spelling when you write them, and the letters. There's vibration, there's energy around everything that we do. Everything we say, see, hear, speak. Come on, it's all connected. This life is way bigger than we imagine, but we're so narrow-minded. We're caught up in what? What are we caught up in? What are you caught up in? What's important to you? What does doing the right thing mean to you? Tell me your story, not the story that was told to you of you or about you, but who are you? What did you come here to do and to be? And do you feel that you are and are being? Or do you feel something's missing? Out of touch. This was something I remembered from living in Italy, that this was like empty-handed, like I'm missing something. You know, all these gesticulations to express ourselves. There's a lot of, I titled this A Need to Know and Doing the Right Thing specifically because a need to know reminded me of when I worked in the military and government environments. A need to know was only if you were read in and a part of the community. The intelligence, the additional information that not everybody has access to. That's a human, internal thing too. Not everybody has a need to know about you or your life. Not everybody has a right to know your most intimate, deepest secrets. That's for you. And that when you share that with someone, or someone shares that with you, that's sacred. And that's a sign of trust. Because we only speak things that we want others to hold us sacred. But a lot of times, we give it away freely. And we don't consider the people that we're sharing that information with. We end up giving it to people who don't deserve it. We allow people into our lives that don't deserve to be in our lives. Because we've also been conditioned to think that we should be loyal and that everybody should be taken care of and we're supposed to be so nice to everyone. But there is also that point where you need to recognize your worth, and you don't have to prove yourself to someone else to show that you are worthy. Often we have let people into our lives that were disrespectful. We disrespected ourselves by doing that. They're there to teach us, showing us how they are and who they are, and also to wake us up, shake us up, and to recognize how are we treating ourselves if we're allowing just anybody to treat us that way. If someone treats you poorly, that shows you where you're allowing that. But it's also showing you where those people themselves don't have respect. Because a disrespect for another is a disrespect for the individual self. And you also need to hold others accountable to that, especially yourself. Because we do that. Sometimes we allow things to happen, people to treat us a certain way that isn't kind. And all that is to create the imbalance, to rebalance and find harmony within ourselves. It's not a bad thing. We just need to be in awareness of our own patterns and habits and routines. How often have we allowed a pattern, a cycle to keep playing out before we woke up to it and said, no more, I'm done. I get it. The universe shaking you up to wake you up. That's what crisis is. Cries within when you're out of alignment with your heart and soul. The moment you take the initiative, you recognize it, you're in awareness of it, you're mindful enough to say, okay, I got that lesson. I take my power back. That's powerful. Because again, from the time we're born, we are disempowered and taught and told how we have to prove ourselves worthy. You know, you got to get a good job to prove yourself. You got to get a good education to prove yourself. You're not even able to, you have to prove yourself healthy. You have to prove yourself good. If you're accused of something, you have to prove yourself innocent. I mean, this is what's wrong with our culture and society. Not everybody deserves access to you. And that doing the right thing, this one I love. And I sat with this earlier. I'm like, you know what? Doing the right thing was created to shame, blame, coerce, and bully people into doing things that aren't necessarily the right thing, but an agreed upon societal thing. It's a manipulation, it's a control to keep you in fear. Because often we think we're doing the right thing, but what we're really doing is something out of fear because we're afraid of being held, up for an example. Or doing the right thing was created to shame, blame, coerce, and bully people into submission and being submissive. Stop and think about that. How many of you out there are confident enough to call that out and not submit? Not a lot of people have the guts or the courage to do that. To stand in their confidence, their knowing. A lot more people out there are afraid of being found out as being weak. So they submit because they're afraid they're going to be held out like, look at you, you were a bad person. And made to feel even worse. So the fear of being used as an example, because what do they do out there? You can see it on the news. You can look around in any type of situation that something is used as an example. One person could be set up as an example so that nobody else will do it. See, if you're a bad person, we're going to put you on the stage and we're going to make sure that everybody sees you were bad. That's blaming, shaming, and bullying. That's not even giving you an opportunity to be proven innocent or guilty. You're just having fingers pointed at you because it's easier to project and to put someone else out there in front than the people who are the ones dictating it. So a lot of times, most of the times actually, it's not aligned with our heart and souls that we're doing the right thing for the right reasons. It's that we're doing it out of fear of authority and being punished. How many of you out there do things because you're afraid of being punished? I'm not talking about something like going out and stealing something from a store. That's not doing the right thing. That's usually the daredevil self-sabotage. Nobody's going to do anything to me. Or like the whole adrenaline kick of getting away with something. You have to always question, what do you consider the right thing and why? Was it something that was taught to you, or is it something that comes from your heart and your soul? Is it authentic and in alignment with your integrity, or is it out of fear? Again, always asking yourself, is this coming from a place of love from my heart, or am I doing this out of fear for retribution, rejection, abandonment, punishment? A lot of what's going on in the world is fear-mongering, fear-based. It's this, you better do this. I mean, it's getting to a point where it shouldn't be us arguing with each other at all. It should be, you know what, I'm going to be compassionate. I honor you. I love you. I want you to be happy and thriving. I don't want people running around in fear. That doesn't make sense. There's a whole big world out here. There's so much beauty in the world. There's so much exciting opportunities. But we are so narrow-minded and so narrow-focused into what is is being highlighted out there in the moment, that it's taking us out of our joy, our love, our passion, what really brings us to life. Can you want to really turn it, that's a great word, exploiting. You really want to turn it on its head? You really want to flip the switch? I challenge you. I have a couple things. I challenge you, turning off TV, turning off all social media if you can. I challenge you to go do what makes you happy, what brings you joy, what brings you love, to focus your life on your purpose, your path, what is going to bring you back to life. Because all this other stuff is a distraction. Your life still continues if you don't know about what's going on all around you. The truth is, this is all that matters. You are all that matters in your life. You are the star of your show, and you get to choose if you're going to be the authority and the author of your story. But if you turn around and you just live out of fear, you're not living at all. That's like a painful, slow death. Seriously. This is the humbleness. This is what is the courage. I'm a lion. I'm a Leo. I'm here to remind you that's what we're here to do. Is to live courageously, authentically, genuinely, from your heart and soul, in alignment. To know that you matter. And nobody tells you that. Nobody gives you permission to be you, but you. There's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful documentary movie that I want you all to watch. I'll throw it in the comments later. It's called Non-Compliant. Please do me a favor and look past the word. And there's a reason why she named it this. KrisAnne Hall is an amazing constitutional lawyer. She runs around the country teaching constitutional history because people don't know, because they don't teach that in school. You know what? Everybody's out of touch with their rights. And then they're wondering why they're losing them. Because they're cowering, they're falling over, realizing, oh my gosh, my rights, my life. Like, you're about to lose something. Yeah, you are. If you don't know what your rights are, you give them up unknowingly. There is a hierarchy. It starts with the human. You have control, I have control. We the people are the first authority. The states are supposed to uphold and protect that. Every state has a constitution and a Bill of Rights. And then, as a result of all the constitution being written, federal government didn't exist. Did you know that? And that was a product of the Constitution. Think about that. They're only supposed to do 4 things, and one of them is to protect the nation from foreign interference, not domestic. They're not supposed to turn on the people. They're supposed to uphold the rights. Right now, we're seeing a total flip of the screen right now. And I really want you to all take a moment. It is a wonderfully put together. It will wake you up to the truth of where we are as a nation and where we need to come back to. Basic human rights, autonomy, sovereignty. You have the power. No is a complete sentence in itself. You do not have to submit. You do not have to comply. The government is not there to protect you as far as the health goes. They're not even supposed to be involved in health or medical. But actually what's going on, what we're seeing, is that this has been orchestrated from the back end. We really don't even see the real players, do we? So I don't really want to go too much on that. What I really wanted you all to do is just sit with what I just shared with you and really consider where you're operating from. Are you coming from the heart, or are you stuck in your head? Heart will never lead you astray. It's the head that gets in the way. The head is where you overthink things, and the devil can only penetrate you when you're idle of mind, weak. When your mind is running rampant, move your body. If anything, bring it back to the breath. The spirit is the connection to source, to God. When they created this scenario, they cut off your connection to God. They made you worthless. Your voice doesn't matter. They cut off your spirit, your breath. That is the first thing that the devil does, is tries to disconnect you from God, from source. And spirit is your connection. Breath is your connection. I can go deeper, but I just want you to all have a wonderful evening. Let you know that I love you very much. Stay strong in you. Know what's true within you. Really tap into who, what, when, where, how you are with all 5 senses, and connect to your intuition, the into me I see. Because you are important to this world and we all have a role to play. And if we don't come together, because humans are meant to be in unity, what will become of humanity? I love you all.